Good morning, everyone. We'll call the meeting of the Development Committee of January 3rd to order, and roll call, please.
Member Krajewski?
Here.
Member Colbert? Member Garcia?
Here.
Member Ozog? Member Rutledge?
Here.
Chair Tornatori?
Here. And we have a quorum, and welcome to member Cronin Cahill and Galassi for joining us. Under Chairman's remarks, just want to let everybody know items D and F have been pulled from this morning's agenda. We will not be dealing with either of those items. Unless public comment, my understanding, we have no in-person public comment, but we do have electronic public comment, which I understand is a significant amount relating to one of the items that was pulled. And I know I use my best efforts to try to avoid doing this. We have to read these as per our county court rule.
Can I make a motion to amend the agenda to move the public comment to after number 9, old business or new business?
What purpose would this serve, other than letting you leave early, which I'm not going to let you do?
I have an 11 o'clock meeting.
Member Garcia has another meeting to go to at 11 o'clock, and
Right.
that will afford her the opportunity to vote on the issues that are actually on the agenda items for action and my.
Sure, you can make any motion you want. All right, go right ahead.
Making that a motion.
Second.
To move the public comment to the end of the meeting.
The online reading of the public comment meeting, 62 pages worth for the item that was pulled.
Okay. So we will need a majority vote for that. Call roll.
Member Krajewski?
Aye.
Do we have a second? We had a second. Right?
Yes.
Member Garcia?
Aye.
Member Rutledge?
Aye.
Chair Tornatori?
Aye.
And I will stay through the end of it before you say.
Okay, so then, but that's gonna, we won't have a quorum after all leave. So this time, do either of you have any
Have it
intention
11
of staying
o'clock?
for the entire meeting, or do you have to leave at 11 also?
How long are the public comments?
62 pages, but it's gonna be
pages.
it's gonna be a maximum of 30 minutes. So we'll probably have our meeting, it'll end at 11:05 because we don't have much on the agenda. So if you can stick around. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to member Cronin Cahill be member of the
Well,
committee.
we can't do that until we get below.
No, we can't.
Yeah, we can't add somebody to.
Oh, no, okay, so we'll do
Not
it later.
until you go below 9.
All right, I'm trying to expedite
We have
this.
to wait till we're below.
Apparently we got rules we gotta follow here. All right, moving on to public comment. We have nothing but electronic public comment. The first one is from Laura Burton regarding.
Wait.
Oh, after
We already
Oh.
amended that.
I couldn't sneak that by you.
Yeah.
Nice try, though.
So we'll do that.
All right, let's move on to approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of December 6th, 2022. It's a motion and a second. Any additions, corrections, or deletions? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. We have no budget transfers. Moving on to regulatory, I'll entertain a motion to approve 2023-4 recommendation for contract purchase order. The county court reporters for professional court reporting services for our zoning board of appeals hearings.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve DCP 16-23, a recommendation for approval of a contract purchase order to TPI Building Code Consultants to perform building and plumbing plan reviews as needed.
So moved. Second. Good question.
Yes.
Quick question on this. How many inspectors do we have on staff versus using TPI on an as-needed basis?
So this is for plan review, and the only thing we use them for is commercial. And we actually aren't using TPI. So we switched from TPI to Safe Built a couple of years ago.
Okay.
When we did that, we had current contract or current projects TPI was working on. So we did a small contract of $50,000 on an as-needed basis, but we actually haven't sent anything to them in well over a year.
It's just kind of like as if needed, if
If
somebody's
needed,
safe,
yeah.
can't do it or something.
Right, it's not costing us anything unless we need it, and we haven't used them, in, like I said, in over a year. We asked them if they wanted to renew, because when we wrote the original contract, it had renewals in it, so it doesn't hurt us to have them renewed. That's all it's for.
Only for doing the plan review then. Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Sure. I'm not even sure why we're doing this, because I think we got Safe Built on board and TPI was just brought on for that period before, from July, whatever, to finish the stuff that they were on, which was, like I said, was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Safe Built's national firm. That's not that I'm gonna have anybody be able to.
Yeah, so when we
I mean,
like,
I don't even see why this is here. We have Safe Built, and there's no way they're not gonna have somebody to do a plan review. I mean, we're like this compared to their larger entities. I'm not even sure why we even have this on the agenda.
we only did it just because we had them in there as an optional renewal within the original contract, so we renewed it. That's the only reason,
Our backup to our backup.
Yeah.
basically.
But
So
nothing's being spent unless it's
Nothing's
needed.
being
no,
spent.
nothing is being
nothing's-
spent unless we need it.
Right.
I don't even see our backup is so large and not gonna.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. We on to item C. I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 1-23, ordinance zoning 2225 Resurrection Church.
Second.
Zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a conditional use for electronic message center monument sign, of variation to reduce the setback, variation to increase the height of the monument sign, and a variation to increase the area of the sign from 24 square feet each side to 50 square feet. So motion to second. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item D is pulled. Moving on to item E, I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 3-23 ordinance zoning 2251. Mowers, the CHO officer recommendation approve variation to reduce an interior side setback for proposed attached garage and a conditional use to allow an existing detached accessory building.
So move.
Second.
Questions, comments? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the item is approved. Item F is pulled. Moving on to item G, I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 5-23 zoning 2258. Wolosia, zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a variation to reduce an interior side yard setback from 10 feet to approximately 4.6 feet. Build a new detached garage on an existing slab and a conditional use to increase the cumulative area for the detached accessory building.
So move.
Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. And I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 6-23 ordinance zoning 2262. Zeta, the zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a conditional use to allow an existing shed to remain less than 3 feet from the rear property line and 3 feet from the interior side property line where it has existed for at least 5 years.
So move.
Motion a second. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's say we'll hold the new business for later and move on to public comment. Electronic public comment. Start the clock. Yep. First is Laura Barron. Glen Ellen, strongly opposed to proposed has-been trucking site 1N450 Highland Avenue, suggesting to put this type of property in a heavily populated area near homes, schools, businesses. The Great Western Trail is irresponsible outside of the obvious negative environmental impact and health concerns. Increased trucking traffic inside the facility are appropriate for our community. Marguerite Huber, say no to Silvacom trucking facility. This development would create risk to public health and material size facility and added truck traffic to Main Street. Kathy Slovic, Glen Ellen, Silvacom hazardous waste facility. Many unanswered questions about this facility. One thing I am certain of is there absolutely has to be a better location to locate any type of hazardous waste processing facility or trucking facility other than in a residential area of Glen Ellen. There's a church, Prairie Path, residential homes and respectable businesses, all within a stone's throw of this location. The increase in truck traffic to our east, west, north, and south arteries will be be a negative impact on our community. If there are odors, they will waft downward to the populace and find their way into downtown, only about 1.5 miles away. The noise pollution from this business is unknown, but it could be substantial. What are the hours of operation? What kind of waste is going to be processed? What streets will these trucks be driving on to get to this facility? And is the increase in trucking jeopardizing the safety of the community? Please reject this proposed idea and let's try to use this property to its highest and best use. Nancy Vanderhaar, strongly opposed. I am a frequent visitor to this area. Do not the exposure to hazardous materials. I'm reading literally. The Environmental Protection Agency defines hazmat as materials and waste with properties that make it dangerous or capable of having a harmful effect on human health or the environment. This development would create a risk to public health from the material size of the facility and added truck traffic to the area, as well as pose a risk to the environment. Andrea Scott, Glen Ellen, hazmat trucking site. I'm in opposition to this proposed development. This development would create a risk to public health from the material size of the facility and added truck traffic to the area, as well as pose a risk to the environment. Lisa Castellan, hazmat site. Displacement of hazmat location nearby businesses presents a hazardous situation impacting the health of business owners and patrons alike. Please reconsider this petition and vote no. Natalia Serrano from Glen Ellen, hazard site. I'm a Glen Ellen resident and student of a yoga studio that is located close to the site where they want to build a site with hazardous waste. I'm opposed to this construction as it will impact health of people close to the site and will increase noise in the area, impacting the life of everyone around it. Tammy Walsh from Wheaton. I'm strongly opposed to the development of a hazmat trucking site that is being proposed in Glen Ellen. I'm a member of a local yoga studio that would drastically be impacted by substantial traffic. This would likely impact the business detrimentally, which would impact my physical and mental health. I need this business to survive. It has a church, contributes to my health and peace of mind substantially. I would greatly suffer from losing it. Please vote no. Mary Prescott, Silvercomp Hazmat Trucking Company. I'm writing in opposition to the proposed trucking company development at North Island Avenue. Please help protect our community from not only a risk to public health and environment, but to our small businesses in the area. Lisa Testelin, I think we read one from her already. Joanna Asha Havas Expertise. I'm strongly opposed to this development. Having this behind our wellness center studio for Pilates and yoga is a hazmat to our area. It is dangerous and affects our human health, not good at all to place this in our area. I oppose. Emily Burton, Glen Ellen. I'm a resident living approximately 1.1 miles from the proposed site. I strongly oppose this proposed hazmat proposal for several reasons. First, the site will be less than 1 mile from the Forest Glen Elementary School, the proposed location of a new school at the Spalding School site, as well as 1.6 miles from Glenbard West High School. Additionally, this location is adjacent to Sunrise, DuPage, and other local small businesses at which children and adults attend daily for sports and recreation activities. They also have significant concerns regarding the traffic of hazmat trucks through and around the primary downtown business district, Glen Ellen, and the impact it will have on our property values. Vote no on this development. Vera Brown. The proposed location would have a severely negative impact on the traffic and environment surrounding our yoga studio. Please consider moving the location elsewhere. Thank you. Linda Noonan, Glen Ellen. Please vote no for the proposed hazmat trailer. Its purpose and location does not fit at all well within Glen Ellen Village, small town, family-oriented atmosphere. Any such proposal would open the door for other similar dump ground availability and thus proposals. Dana Ankler, I'm ready to oppose the hazmat trucking facility be considered for location at 1 and 450 Highland Avenue, Glen Ellen. I'm a regular patron of the Pilates studio located just south of the proposed trucking facility, along with other members of the community. I'm deeply concerned about the impact this facility would have on local health and wellness. The Environmental Protection Agency defines hazmat as materials and waste with properties that make it dangerous or capable of having a harmful effect on human health or the environment. This development would create a risk to public health and material size of the facility and added truck traffic to the area as well as pose a risk to the environment. I urge you to reconsider locating a hazmat facility at this busy location. Thank you. Michelle Mullen from Glen Ellen. Same topic. I recently learned about the proposal to build a hazmat trucking site near my home. I strongly object to this hazmat trucking site. The Environmental Protection Agency defines hazmat as materials and waste properties that make it dangerous or capable of having a harmful effect on health, human health, or the environment. This development would create a risk to public health from the material size of the facility and the added truck traffic to the area, as well as pose a risk to the environment. Amanda Cross from Lombard. I do not support the placement of a hazmat trucking site at 19450 Highland in Glen Ellen. Jennifer Iachino, this will bring down Glen Ellen home values in the surrounding area. Plus the businesses that use that road will not be able to continue with the traffic. They will be going in and out of the street. Karen Fry, it is beyond reason why this petition is even being considered. This site is surrounded by small businesses, children, and young adults. And occupied office developments. A site like this would be in the middle of nowhere. It's not in the densely populated area. I strongly oppose this development as a nearby resident and participant in activities in the area. Sandra Alexander, Glen Ellen. As a resident of Glen Ellen, I object to the proposal by Silvacom to build a hazardous material industrial distribution center in unincorporated DuPage County. While the proposed site is not within the Glen Ellen municipal boundaries, the Glen Ellen School Districts 41 and 87 have boundaries with other proposed location. In addition, the location is adjacent to Center Ice of DuPage, as well as the Great Western Trail. I'm concerned about increased traffic congestion from the proposed site that could potentially impact the safety of students residing in these school districts, as well as public health issues posed by the transportation of hazardous material around residential neighborhoods and recreational areas frequented by children in our community. I'm also concerned about the destruction of wetland, the removal of mature trees and wildlife habitat, and the impact of water mitigation in a flood-prone area. Residents of the bordering neighborhood to this site have expressed concerns about noise and air pollution from idling trucks and increased traffic flow, as well as the potential for the diminished property values for homes bordering a commercial hazmat trucking facility. I urge you to reject this proposal, which offers no benefit to the residents and likely poses health, safety, and financial risks to neighboring communities. Linda Finnegan, also from Glen Ellen. I oppose granting the special use to this property because of the nature of the business being proposed to operate there. Silvacom operates in 48 states as primarily an over-the-road trucking firm specializing in hazmat transportation. But it's been their safety record as an operator. They have roughly 30 inspections per month and have 20 plus violations. This includes hazmat violations. For instance, a violation in May 2022 where there was a local securement issue with HM. Other violations were not for placing HM placards, which makes it unsafe for emergency responders in the event of an accident. 3, this also includes maintenance violations for brakes and other required equipment on both trailers. 4, do they have safe drivers? Public data shows violations for speeding 11 to 14 miles per hour over the limit. 5, will trailers be kept on site? If so, will there be a cleaning facility or truck wash that may contaminate the groundwater? 6, the company stated 1 to 8 trucks will be on site with capacity to 16 trucks. They also stated 20 employees with parking up to 55 vehicles. The space at all of the studies must be reviewed as if the facility is at capacity, 9,000 square feet of office space, 61,000 square feet of industrial maintenance space. B, testimony at one of the prior hearings implied that the use of the maintenance facility was not allowed under the zoning. It appears that this is the primary use. If this is true, we shouldn't even be discussing special use. C, is the village of Glen Ellen prepared for potential response to a hazmat incident? Even if the operator is prohibited from storing any HM on site, are there elements of working with the trucks and trailers that haul HM that our fire department is not prepared for? Who handles the cost of this special hazmat response equipment and training? D, with residential being so close to the site, I share the homeowner's concerns over the loss of property value when a home is adjacent to an industrial site. I, leveling of the property requires a large retaining wall or removal of trees and existing cover without being adequately addressed so as not to impair the value of adjacent properties. And lastly, light and noise pollution concerns are obvious to anyone who looks at the home sites in comparison to the industrial site and its paved parking areas. Oh, not lastly, there's more. Traffic in and out of the property by 18-wheelers will impact Main Street and make it less safe to travel.
3 minutes
St.
is
Charles, and her time has expired. Andrea Pinto. I'd like to give my strong disapproval of the trucking business on Haas Avenue being proposed. It is not an appropriate size or location for such a business. I live in the neighborhood right behind it. Let's go here. Rosemary Boutel, Wheaton, object to the proposed location of this facility in unincorporated Glen Ellen, would recommend a location on a major artery such as North Avenue, better traffic access and away from largely residential, enjoying local recreation areas. There's always the danger of contamination of water supply as well as noise and air pollution, which will result from idling trucks waiting to discharge or load the waste materials. Construction of such a facility would also come at the detriment of our local wildlife habitat and wetland areas. Craig Mandel, Glen Ellen. I'm opposed to this development because destruction of wetlands and wildlife habitat, public health, transportation, noise, and air pollution, the people's well-being is not for areas. Paige Moritz. The location of the proposed hazmat trucking site may appear to be out of the way, but is next to an ice rink that sees many kids and families every day. It's also next to a strip mall that has several health-minded businesses with many patrons visiting daily. I urge you find a new location that doesn't put kids or anyone in close proximity. Carolyn Osterl, I live at 645 Lake Road in Glen Ellen, about a mile from the proposed site. I'm familiar with the area from frequenting many of the local establishments. I've visited the site twice. I've read, I think some of this is read the transcripts for the prior meetings. I agree that the concerns of the nearby residents are valid, strongly oppose the project that will focus on concerns that have not been adequately addressed. After walking on the site, it's obvious that this is a natural water runoff area for the local region. The project will cover a high percentage of the ground with impermeable material. The south end of the land is in a FEMA floodplain. Where will all the water go in a heavy rainstorm? This is not adequately addressed, and I urge the commissioners to obtain an independent study regarding this concern. On its website, Silvacom advertised that it is the largest truck carrier of hazmat materials in the country. Yet we have been told from Mr. Lutke that there will be no trace of hazardous materials or contaminants in the trucks that utilize the facility. My response to this is trust but verify. Any agreement with Silvacom should have penalties attached for violating this condition. Lastly, the exact uses of the building have remained obscure to many of us. Inconsistencies abound. On page 17 of the October meeting transcript, Mr. Volpe says the uses of the buildings will be office space, warehouse, light repair, and parking. Then on page 18, he states that we don't warehouse anything. When asked if there will be loading or unloading of trucks at the facility, Mr. Lukihan's replies, well, definitely not outside. There will be some insignificant amount of loading, unloading inside the building. Office space will be 9,000 square feet of the 71,000 square feet, leaving around 62,000 square feet or other uses. This is a huge amount of space for the mentioned uses. The things we were told do not make sense. The building is for use by a trucking company, but there will only be 1 to 8 trucks coming there on the average day. They have a large building called the distribution center that will not be distributing anything from the building. What is this large building to be used for? What does lighting maintenance really include? How much loading of trucks can be covered by an insignificant amount of loading, unloading inside the building? This is a relative term that probably means nothing. What happens if over time the truck traffic greatly increases, which we all know is inevitable? Please do not approve this project. Patricia Spence, also from Glen Ellen, opposed to the project location of the center. Glen Ellen School District 41 and 87 have boundaries within the proposed location. The proposed site is adjacent to the ice rink in Glen Ellen, next to the Great Western Trail. I concur with the members of my Glen Ellen community who are concerned about the introduction of hazardous shipments of gases, flammable oxidizer, inorganic peroxide, corrosive, and other materials in our surroundings. I moved from Texas in 2015. Frisco, Texas had to force Exide Corporation to close its battery recycling plant, which was unleashing lead emissions into the communities to such an extent that residents had to be tested. Significant land remediation needed to be done, and some property deemed unuseful, but for the most limited purposes, the city of Frisco ended up having to pay much of this cleanup. Linda Callis from Downers Grove. After hearing about this plan, my husband and I drove by the site. This is a terrible place for the development of this kind. There are homes very near the site, many of which look like they were there for a long time. Another more commercial development nearby, and maybe some not the most expensive in the area. Guessing these people don't have enough power to fight this. Exactly the reason the board should stand up for what's right. There seem to be options on Route 53 and North Avenue that would work better for this kind of development. Jeff Garris from Wheaton. Greetings. I'm concerned about the green space that Silvercom Trucking wants to construct the trucking related facility. In particular, a prior public comment referenced the presence of the rusty patch bumblebee. I recommend that this presence of this rare and endangered bee be investigated prior to approval of this project. We're witnessing a major collapse of ecosystems across the country. The planet happens through a death by 1,000 cuts. Arguably the highest and best use of this parcel of land is to preserve it as a restored natural area. Thank you. Gary Finnegan. Too close to residences, object to its hazardous material potentially being on site, not knowing whether any emergency response capability in Glen Ellen is sufficiently trained in dealing with hazmat. Linda Finnegan, we already read hers, and that concludes the electronic public comment. We'll add those to the minutes. There you go. Okay. I believe that concludes our business on the agenda. Do we have any old business?
I have a question about the public comment.
Yes.
Paul, somebody mentioned rusty patch bumblebee. Is that a known habitat?
We're not aware of that, no.
Any other questions? Okay. Any old business? Any new business? Thank you all for coming. We are adjourned.